Have you ever looked in the mirror, not to fix anything, not to judge, but just to see yourself as you are, and in that quiet moment you wonder, what do people see when they look at me now? It's not vanity, it's not insecurity, it's just honest curiosity. The kind that comes after years of living, loving, losing, and learning. You've walked through seasons, some light, some heavy. You've shown up for others even when no one showed up for you. You've grown into someone far deeper than the girl you used to be, and yet the world doesn't always seem to notice. The compliments aren't as frequent, the glances don't linger like they once did. You begin to wonder if you're becoming invisible, not just to strangers, but to the world, even sometimes to yourself. But here's what I want you to remember: you are not fading, you are not disappearing, you are evolving. What people notice about you now has shifted. It's not the smoothness of your skin, it's not the color of your hair. It's something quieter, more powerful, more real. You walk with presence now, you speak with weight, your silence holds meaning, and your gaze, it carries stories most will never understand. This video isn't about chasing attention, it's about reclaiming awareness of your worth, your beauty, your presence. Because yes, men still notice. And what they notice now says more about who you are than what you wear. We're going to explore 5 things that truly stand out about women who have lived with depth and grace. And it starts not with how you look, but with how you show up. So before we begin, take this in: you are not behind, you are not too late, you are not forgotten, you are still becoming. Let's talk about what really draws people in, starting with your eyes. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul. But for a woman who's lived, they're more than windows, they're a map, a mirror, a quiet story whispered through glances and silence. When you were younger, people might have noticed your eyes for their sparkle, the brightness, the bold color. But now what men notice isn't that surface light, it's the depth, because eyes change with time, they soften, they settle, they stop performing and start speaking. And if someone really looks into your eyes now, what they'll see isn't just beauty, it's experience. It's warmth. It's pain you've moved through and love you've chosen to keep open for. The little lines at the corners, those are proof of laughter, of countless mornings squinting into the sun, of tears shed for people you cared about. Those lines tell a story, and it's a beautiful one. Your eyes hold it all. The strength you didn't know you had. The nights you stayed up worrying about someone else. The gratitude you've learned to carry. The loss, the hope, the calm. There's a quiet power in a woman's gaze after 50. She's not trying to impress. She's not looking for permission. She's just there, seeing the world clearly and being unafraid to be seen. Men feel that even if they don't know how to say it. They're drawn in, not because of your eyeliner or mascara, but because of something unspoken. Something you no longer try to project, but simply allow. Presence, that's what your eyes carry now. A presence that says, I've lived and I'm still open. So if you've been avoiding eye contact lately, thinking my eyes aren't what they used to be, I want to challenge that, because they're better. They carry weight, they carry peace, they carry truth, and truth is far more magnetic than sparkle. So the next time someone looks at you, look back, not to prove anything, not to impress, just to let them see you, because behind your gaze lives a life no one else has lived, and there's nothing more captivating than that. You can tell a lot about someone before they ever say a word, just by the way they carry themselves. Posture isn't just about standing tall. It's a kind of language, one that speaks before you do. And a woman's posture, especially as she ages, tells a story of how she sees herself now. Think about a time you saw someone walk into a room, not loudly, not looking for attention, but their presence changed the space. They didn't say a word, but you felt them. Something about the way they stood, the quiet strength in their shoulders, the ease in their spine, it told you everything. That's not accidental, that's posture. And for older women, it can be one of the most quietly powerful things people notice. But here's the truth: many women with time begin to shrink, not just physically, but emotionally. Not out of weakness, but because the world has slowly told them to take up less space. So their shoulders curve inward, their gaze drops, their chest closes, and their energy begins to dim, not because they've lost it, but because they've learned to hide it. But you don't need to hide anymore. Your body still remembers how to stand with confidence. Your bones haven't forgotten strength. Your presence can still speak clearly through how you hold yourself. You don't need perfect posture. You need intentional posture. A gentle rolling back of the shoulders, a soft rise of the chest, a chin that lifts not in pride but in peace. Spine that says, I still belong here. Because you do. And when a man sees that, when he sees a woman who carries herself with quiet dignity, it doesn't matter if she's 35 or 75. That kind of energy stops him. He may not say it. He may not even realize why. But something about that posture makes him respect her, admire her, even be drawn to her, because posture isn't just how you stand, it's how you exist. It's how you say without words, I am still here, I still matter. So if you've found yourself slouching more, not just from age, but from years of being told to be less, I want to invite you back to your own center. Try standing against a wall in the morning. Let your heels, your hips, your back, your head all connect. Breathe. Let your body remember what it feels like to take up space again, not loudly, not forcefully, just fully, because you don't need to be the tallest woman in the room. You just need to stand like you know why you're in it. And when you do, people will notice. Men will notice, but most importantly, you will notice. And you'll feel yourself return home to your body again, not to look younger, but to feel present. And presence, my friend, is unforgettable. Take a moment, look down at your hands, not to judge them, not to compare them to anyone else's, just to really see them. What do you notice first? The lines, maybe, the softness of the skin, a few veins rising beneath the surface, perhaps a freckle or a scar you forgot was there, but look closer. These hands have lived, they've held newborns, folded laundry through tired evenings, written notes of love and loss. They've planted gardens, wiped tears, stirred soups, and held the hands of others when words weren't enough. And that is beauty, not the kind that's shown in magazines, but the kind people feel, the kind men notice without even knowing why. There's something deeply moving about a woman's hands, especially as she gets older. You see, younger hands may be smooth, but older hands, they are expressive. They move with intention, with care, with memory. Men may not say, "Her hands caught my eye," but they feel it. In the way you brush your hair aside, in the way you pass a cup of tea, in the way you gently touch someone's shoulder as you speak. These are not just gestures, they are stories, and your hands know how to tell them. They tell of nurturing, of strength, of resilience, and there's nothing superficial about that kind of grace. Unfortunately, the world tells women to hide their hands as they age, to cover them. Bleach them, tighten them, change them, but you don't need to. You don't need younger hands. You need to remember what your hands have done, and then let them be seen. Moisturize them, yes, care for them gently, but not out of shame, out of love. Massage them, stretch your fingers, keep them moving, not to look a certain way, but to feel alive. Because when your hands move freely, so does your energy, so does your spirit. And when a man sees a woman whose hands move with grace, who isn't hiding them, who isn't ashamed of them, he notices. He sees someone who is capable, who is warm, who has nothing to prove but everything to offer. So the next time you find yourself stuffing your hands into your sleeves, don't. Let them show, let them speak. Let them carry your story quietly, naturally, honestly. Because in a world that celebrates the polished and the perfect, your hands are a reminder of something real. And there's nothing more beautiful than that. A smile can change everything, not because it's perfect, not because it's polished, but because it's real. We often underestimate the quiet power of a woman's smile, especially a woman who has lived, who has known both laughter and sorrow, who doesn't smile to impress anymore but to connect. When you were younger, maybe your smile was something people commented on. Maybe it came quickly, easily, out of habit or hope. But now your smile means more. Because it comes from a deeper place. And men notice that far more than you think. They don't notice whether your teeth are straight or if your lips are full. They don't care if your lipstick is perfectly applied. What they notice is how your smile makes them feel. Does it feel warm? Does it feel safe? Does it feel genuine? Because that's what draws people in, not precision, but presence. A smile that says, "I've lived, I've seen hard days, but I still find reasons to feel joy." That kind of smile, it's unforgettable. It lights up more than your face, it lights up the room. And yet many women begin to hide their smile with age. They grow self-conscious about their teeth, about the lines that show up when they laugh, about how their mouth has changed over time. But those lines, they're not flaws, they're the echoes of every moment you chose happiness, even when life didn't make it easy. They're the evidence of full-bodied laughter, of stories told over dinner, of kind words offered to people who needed them. Your smile is not something to fix, it's something to trust, because it still carries light. And in a world that moves too fast, that light is rare, and rare things get noticed. So smile, not for others, but for yourself. Let your face soften. Let your eyes join in. Let your lips move the way they want to. If you want to wear lipstick, wear it. If you don't, that's fine too. But don't wait until everything feels put together to let joy show up on your face. Because when you smile, especially when it's unexpected, it tells the world something powerful. I'm still here, and I still feel joy. And that's magnetic. A man may not remember your outfit or your shoes, but he will remember how you smiled at him, how it made him feel, how it made you glow. So please don't hold it back. Don't hide it behind your hand or beneath self-doubt. You've earned every reason to smile. Let it show, because it's not just beautiful, it's brave. There's something unforgettable about the voice of a woman who has lived. It doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't even need to be polished. It simply needs to be hers. As we get older, many women grow quieter, not because they have less to say, but because the world has conditioned them to believe their voice matters less with time. But the truth is, your voice carries more now than it ever did. It carries decades of stories, decisions, heartbreaks, and healing. It's been softened by grief, strengthened by resilience, and shaped by wisdom. And when you speak now, even softly, you speak with weight. That kind of voice doesn't need to compete. It doesn't need to demand attention. It commands it through calm, through presence, through truth. And men, they notice. Not the pitch, not the volume, not the technical details. They notice how your voice makes them feel, how it slows them down, how it makes them listen more closely, how it creates space. Because your voice now is not just sound, it's substance. It's no longer about being the loudest in the room, it's about being the clearest, and that kind of clarity is magnetic. Maybe your tone has changed over time. Maybe it's a little deeper, a little raspier. Maybe it cracks sometimes or slows between thoughts, but all of that makes it richer. There's something beautifully human about a voice that carries life inside it. It's not rehearsed. It's real. And when you speak from that place, grounded, present, unapologetically yourself, people lean in. Especially the ones worth speaking to, and what holds that voice up is your neck. Another place so many women begin to hide with age. We cover it with scarves, with collars, with our hands, as if time touching this part of us is something to be ashamed of. But your neck holds your head high. It's carried you through every season. It's strong, it's graceful, it deserves to be seen. So care for your voice, not to sound younger, but to stay connected to your breath, to your truth, to yourself. Sip warm tea, breathe slowly. Speak only when your words are true, and when you do, let your voice fill the room not with noise but with meaning. Because there is nothing more beautiful than a woman who speaks like she's no longer afraid to be heard. And you've earned the right to be heard. Your voice is not fading, it's maturing. And with every word, it reminds the world of who you are. A woman who no longer speaks to impress, but to express, with honesty, with peace, with purpose. And that is a sound no one forgets. So here we are, we've talked about your eyes, how they no longer sparkle to impress, but shine with truth. We've talked about your posture, how it speaks volumes before you say a word. We've talked about your hands, how they've touched lives in quiet, lasting ways. We've talked about your smile, not shaped by symmetry, but by soul. And your voice, calm, steady, full of the kind of wisdom that only time can give. And maybe, just maybe, you're beginning to feel what I hoped you would all along. You are still seen. Not in the same way you once were, not through the lens of youth, but through the lens of substance. Because you are not invisible, you are simply no longer loud, no longer chasing, no longer proving, you're not trying to be noticed. But that's exactly what makes you unforgettable. The world may have taught you to shrink, to sit a little quieter, to fade gently into the background. But that was never your true place, because you weren't made to disappear. You were made to evolve, to deepen, to stand tall in your softness, to glow in a different kind of light. And those who know how to look, they still see you, they see your presence, they feel your energy. They're drawn to the woman who stopped pretending and started being. Maybe you felt overlooked lately. Maybe the mirror hasn't been kind. Maybe your reflection looks less familiar than it used to. But don't forget this, the woman you see now, she's the result of every lesson, every step, every turning point. She's more grounded, more centered, more whole. And the right people, the ones who have lived enough to understand what matters, they notice her. They notice you, so hold your gaze, straighten your back. Let your hands move with freedom. Smile like joy still lives in you. Speak like your voice still has purpose. Because it does, you do, you are not past your prime. You are in a new one, you are not too late, you are right on time, you are not fading, you are clarifying. And every step you take from here is not just a continuation, it's a return to who you really are, to what you've always carried. To the kind of woman who leaves an impression not with volume but with presence. So the next time you wonder if anyone still notices, know this, they do. Maybe not the way they used to, but in a way that sees deeper, lasts longer, feels richer. And in this stage of life, that's not less. It's more, you are still seen, you are still needed, and you are more radiant now than you have ever been.